Well, it was only a matter of time before this process began, and it started. The Detroit Lions have began to trim some excess fat off their roster going into rookie minicamp this weekend. Now, according to Pride of Detroit, Detroit Lions have 64 players on their roster currently. This is not including the 14 UDFA signings or the 8 draft picks. So if you add those together, it is the 22 plus the 64 would put us at 86 players. And going into getting ready for minicamp, the Detroit Lions decided to part ways with 3 individuals, one being Demetrius Taylor, the other being Mac McCain, and last and certainly least, Stanley Berryhill, the suspended wide receiver, along with Jamison Williams. He is no longer going to be on the team. Now, these guys have spent time with the Detroit Lions being waived before. This is not their first go-round when it comes to this. McCain actually was signed back in February. He was signed as part of the cornerback depth, but this is before the draft and before free agency and so on and so forth. So with this being said, heading into rookie minicamp with 86 players after the rookie signings and the undrafted free agency signings, are the Detroit Lions going to make a move for anyone? Even if it's not coming up in the next couple of days, heading into the month of June and the end of May, will the Detroit Lions pick up another player or several players? Could we pick up a defensive tackle? Could we pick up a Teddy Bridgewater? Dan Campbell was on the Green podcast, I believe it's called, with Chris Long, and he talked about the role of Hendon Hooker and how Hendon Hooker would be pretty much at best number 2, that Jared Goff is going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. But they know they needed to get somebody in here. Hendon can learn under Jared Goff year 1, and whatever happens down the line, happens down the line. But that we are a long way away from that happening. So that told me that Jared Goff could potentially be the future of the Detroit Lions, which for me, that would be awesome to see, because nobody gave him a chance from year 1 with the Detroit Lions. But with the cutting of these 3 players, could the Detroit Lions be lining up to bring in a free agent or something like that that could help our team? So even with we're going to go into training camp with 90 men. That's just point blank. And then those are going to be dwindled down. And don't forget, that cut is all going to happen at one time after the last preseason game. No longer will there be cuts after every preseason game. It's just going to go down from the 90 or whoever's on the roster coming out of that last preseason game to the 53, and then we'll field the 16-man practice squad. That's going to give us a total of 69 players. So I do expect some of these players that are going to be cut to be on the practice squad later down the line. But honestly, Stanley Berryhill is probably the one that messed up the most. You're already on the special teams practice squad bubble. You go and get suspended like a dummy. And I'm surprised the Detroit Lions have not cut him sooner. I would expect him to be cut immediately. Then you heard Brad Holmes talking about how it was their job to make sure that Jamison Williams and Stanley knew the consequences for what they were doing, that they fully understood the consequences when you violate a rule like that, how you're hurting your team, and to understand thoroughly what needs to be done and how you approach this. So not a surprise about any of these guys. The biggest surprise is that Stanley made it this far, especially after what he did. So let me know in the comments below, are you surprised by any of these moves? And do you think that the Detroit Lions will add any more depth via free agency? There are a few free agents in every position really that we could take a look at. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We are less than 70 subscribers away from 11,000, and I would really like to get there by the scheduled kickoff reaction, which will be Thursday. So we've got just over 2 days to make that happen. So if this is not your first time here, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, because you're going to get quality daily Detroit Lions content from this channel. So I would appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.